And all right, so I think we can probably slowly start the webinar. Hope the audio is okay. Yep, so I think some people are probably still joining, but yeah, then we'll just slowly get started, talk about all the initial details. So basically the duration of the webinar will be approximately 1 hour to 1 hour 30, because we'll also have the Q&A session at the very end. So please, first, I'd like to ask you so that all the questions that you get during the webinar, please put them in the Q&A section. So we have a few moderators who will answer them. And plus, additionally, some of these questions we will try to answer live, either during the webinar and the ones that will be left, we will try to answer at the end of the webinar in the live Q&A. As far as the agenda goes, so we'll go through basically a few points. First, we'll talk a bit about how have drone shows transformed the event industry in 2021, how to use drone show software and how it is used as a key to making drones fly in these shows. We'll also discuss some first steps to get started in the drone show industry. And also we'll talk about a success story from 2021 from Celestial Drone Art drone show company. So you can see here in this image, so this is basically where, oh, sorry, I think I need to switch back to full screen like this. Yeah, so this is where basically you have the Q&A section. So yeah, please put all the questions there. In the chat, you'll also only basically be able to send us some messages, but yeah, with the questions, please do put them in there. So about speakers, first there's me. I'm the lead engineer and trainer at Drone Show Software. And then I'm also joined by Nick Kowalski, who is the basically representative and chief operations officer at Celestial. About my background, so I'm a lead engineer and trainer for Drone Show Software. I've been with the company already since 2014, and we started basically working with Drone Show Software in 2016. That was basically the very beginning of it, I'd say. I have had the chance to basically also participate in a lot of these on-site drone shows and trainings in various countries around the world. So this includes Australia, Brazil, Switzerland, UAE, and also I've performed trainings for a lot of customers here in Riga. And nowadays we're mostly doing these trainings already remotely. So about Nick, Nick will basically talk towards the end of the webinar. But although I think maybe Nick, let's do it this way. Maybe I can give you the floor to kind of, introduce yourself at least just a bit so people know who you are.
Yeah, not a problem, not a problem. Well, yes, I mean, I started in this kind of sector in about, about 2016, working on kind of various projects, UAV based in the UK. I mean, that was all sorts of stuff, from some interesting military things to, obviously, civil operations and photography, aerial photography and that sort of thing. But yeah, after sort of kind of scratching my head for a while, I mean, I've obviously seen the drone show at the Winter Olympics that Intel performed. That kind of really, I think everybody kind of saw initially and was like, "Wow, that's spectacular! How do you do it?" Yeah, I suppose it was kind of in probably about 2017, 2018, managed to find drone show software and get in contact and start discussing things. But it wasn't really until 2020 that we managed to get ourselves into a position where we could actually kind of act on it and purchase a license and receive training. But yes, from sort of that time of 2020, obviously everything was in lockdown. It was a difficult kind of period, but yeah, it kind of gave us some opportunities to have access to skilled personnel who we wouldn't otherwise normally have been able to get hold of, being too busy with other things. So it kind of weirdly, it worked out strangely well. And obviously having a kind of COVID friendly solution, an alternative for shows that weren't going on in 2020, it just kind of gave us our wings really. But I'll come back to a few of those points later on.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, thank you for the introduction. I'll just switch back the yeah, my video. Yep. So you should be able to see that now, I hope. So yep, let's then I think move already a bit further. Sorry, this is again kind of going out of full screen. Yep. So basically, the plan about this webinar is that we'll do some introduction, talk about creating the choreography, talk about the software itself, as well as the drones. So also here probably you can see in the background I have a few drones. So also show these to you and talk a bit about them. We'll discuss the first steps. Then there will be basically Nick's and Celestial's success story. We'll also talk about our new Drone Show Global community. And then at the end, we will have a Q&A session. So maybe first, a bit about us kind of as a company. So we basically do provide a lot of these drone software related services, and we make the all the software itself. So we are, I'd say we're mostly known for making GCS, mission planning software. And then, of course, in addition to that, we've built a lot of other products, among which also we have DSS. Our company was founded in 2013. We're based in Latvia, Riga, so that's in the EU, in the Baltics. We currently have quite already a wide network of resellers in already 150 plus countries, and over 45% of our partners are actually now located in North America. So maybe let's move a bit more into drone shows themselves. So first, what is a drone show? Of course, a lot of people might have a lot of different ideas, especially if you might not have seen a drone show in real life yet. But so basically, I just define it in the following way, at least as far as the software goes. So our software, drone show software, is basically a set of tools that allows you to fly hundreds to even thousands of drones simultaneously in a synchronized manner. This is achieved due to a few things about which I'll talk about a bit later. And so DSS features, they can basically be divided also into two separate features. One is for pre-flight. So the software allows you to check everything and essentially prepare your drones for the show. So you'll have all the indicators, everything that basically you will need. Later on also, I'll show you the software demo. So you'll be able to see kind of basically how it all works. And then also you'll have the flight features. So this basically allows you to, of course, monitor the drones during the show and also to control them if or when necessary. So what goes into a drone show? So essentially, we can kind of divide it into two separate events, I'd say. So you can either use drone shows as kind of a standalone event. So this can, for example, be used in different sports events. This was especially important also in 2021, since, for example, the Olympics as well, they're taking place basically without any viewers there on the site. Also, drone shows can be used for integrated marketing in the sky. A lot of examples, which I think I'll show a few of them a bit later. So let's say there's a lot of already well-known brands who just want to, add this one additional thing to their, let's say, inventory of marketing tools. So they see drone show as basically quite an innovative way of doing so. Also, one other thing is that this is quite a recent trend, actually, that you can actually now make QR codes up in the air in the sky using drones. Minimum drone count for that would have to be 512. And so, yeah, with this also companies are kind of jumping on this opportunity to basically also use this as a very modern way of advertising. Similarly, also this is used for product launches for a lot of major brands and even artists. In one of the previous webinars, we had another kind of good partner of ours also tell about making a huge show for quite a well-known artist in Canada. So then also now, even in some educational programs, these basically universities and colleges are also getting involved with drone shows, getting involved with drone show software, because there's quite a huge demand actually in the market for specialists in this field, and there is a huge lack of them. So also we are currently working with Hudson Valley Community College, and so they are also now basically using drone show software. And so drone show software can also actually be used as a part of a bigger event. So let's say you can use it in conjunction with fireworks, lasers, music, and essentially any other kind of elements that you need. As far as the event types go, so of course you can use drone shows in various events. So this would include celebrations, sports events, different art and music festivals. You can also use this for some private events, such as, let's say, weddings, holidays. We've had it also used for a kind of a marriage proposal. You can use this also for corporate events, product launches, and yeah, so like I also mentioned, for marketing in the sky shows. And yeah, so during the pandemic, obviously, since people have to do the social distancing, then yeah, so drone shows also can serve as a way to essentially still do these entertainment events even in the current era that we're living. So here, for example, you can see this is a show that basically we kind of made together with Uvify. So this is a 1,000 drone show that was done in South Korea. And also I'll show these drones to you in a moment. So you'll be able to see with what drones was this show done exactly. Also here, since I did mention some product launches, so over here you can see a product launch from Kia. Well, not exactly a product launch, but basically Kia, they'll kind of announced their new logo using drones. And also in this specific show, they achieved the Guinness World Record of most unmanned aerial vehicles launching fireworks simultaneously. So that's also, I think, quite an interesting thing. Yeah, so we also do have, of course, customers across basically the whole world. So this, yeah, would include Celestial, of course, from UK, who are joining us here for this webinar. We have customers in Canada. So this was North Star Drone Shows. So Patrice from North Star was in one of our previous webinars where he also talked about his experience. Yeah, we're also in Japan, USA, Pablo Air from South Korea, again, USA, Switzerland. So essentially all across the world, as you can see, we already have our partners doing shows. So here you can also see a map. So this map basically indicates in which countries we already have customers using our software. So you can see that the majority of them are from the United States. But yeah, so essentially, if your country is on the list, that means that basically there is already a certain market for it, and that there is already an industry that's kind of working. But also good news is that if you're from a country where that you see that it's not yet highlighted, this means that you actually have the chance to be the first one to the market. And so you can be the very first one to start this business in your own country. Yep, if you go to our site here, so droneshowsoftware.com, you'll be able to see a lot of basically different shows all across the world. And so yeah, through here, basically you'll be able to see our whole portfolio. And yeah, so essentially also become more familiar with what it is exactly that we do. Yeah, so if you have not yet seen the site, yeah, so please do go there. So droneshowsoftware.com. And so now maybe let's talk a bit about some ways of how you can become a drone show organizer. So one of them would, of course, be that you can simply create your own new company, and so then you can dive kind of into this new exciting field of business. Some of our customers, they already have an existing company that, for example, they are using, let's say, in the event industry. Some examples for this would include guys coming from kind of fireworks background. So I already know that in basically a lot of places in the world, so some people have this like negative, there are some negative tendencies towards fireworks, because of, let's say, all the ecological damage that they do in sense of, that there's a lot of smoke coming from that, there's noise. But so with drone shows, they are a lot more, I'd say, sustainable, a lot more reusable, and also something just newer that people have not seen that much. So this does provide, of course, this additional entertainment value. And so also what you can do is you can try to cooperate some existing service providers to, let's say, include drone shows in their events. So let's say if there's, different music festivals or art festivals or something like that, then also this is basically a way how you can get into the business if you can propose them the idea to also include drone shows in that. So you can also basically, use this as a path towards getting into this business. Okay, so I think now maybe let's talk a bit about the choreography and basically how is that all created. So essentially, all shows, they do begin with an idea. So this idea is something that can be sold to customers or can be sold to investors. Once you do this, then of course, you can create the animation and you can show this to them. Later on, also kind of show how exactly would you, for example, demonstrate this animation. And normally in all the animations of the show, so they contain drone movement and they contain the basically drone color values as well. Mainly animations for drone show software, they are created using dedicated tools for this. So you can either use standard animation tools. So for the most part, we are currently using, at least up until now, we're using Blender animation program that's open source and freely available. And also you can use other programs such as Cinema 4D, for example. But right now we are also basically we're launching also this kind of new product under DSS that's called Drone Show Creator. And so with Drone Show Creator, you will be able to also make your own animations. And yeah, I'll also show you some screenshots of that in just a moment. Yeah, so essentially then as far as creating the animation for your drone show goes, there's essentially two ways of how you can do that. First way is that you can simply try to create the animation yourself according to some guidelines that we are providing to you, of course. And then the second way is that you can already actually order it to be created by an experienced animator. So we are working currently with a few animation companies that are familiar with what exactly does it take to create an animation for a drone show. And so then simply you can pitch this idea to them, talk about different details and go through a few iterations of the animation. And yeah, so that's basically one way how a lot of customers are choosing to do this. So now regarding the drone show creator, this is quite a new tool that we have been working on for actually quite a while to basically make animation creation a lot faster, make it a lot easier. So here you can already see this tool here in action. So basically this allows you to firstly orchestrate these drone formations as well as animate drone colors. So instead of having to do everything more or less manually, how is it done through the animation program? So here everything is a lot more automated. So you can basically put the drones exactly in the shape that you want them to be. You can set the colors quite easily, and then everything will be automatically calculated and the animation will be created for you. So yeah, these kind of key scenes will automatically be merged with one another, still while keeping the safe distance between the drones. So here as well, you can see it. So basically you can use almost any 2D image and then kind of on essentially the points and the vertices of the image, you can add your drones depending on, of course, how many drones you have in the animation. And also actually, if you already maybe have some path files or some, specific points from or the existing animations, maybe, in the animation package that we provide, when you get the software, maybe there's some scene that you want to recreate in your own animation. So then you can already take these kind of scenes from path files, and then you can simply upload them to the drone show creator. So currently we're planning to make the desktop version for this available in the fourth quarter of this year. And also we're planning on making a web-based version for this. This should be available already in 2022. So here you can see kind of essentially how a standard animation is made. So normally we are making this in a Blender animation program. And so over here, this is where you can see that kind of essentially how 200 drone animation looks like. And basically to kind of translate all of this to real world, what we're doing is that we are exporting this animation. Before that, we're checking the animation for distance. And so in most cases, drones should be no closer than 2.5 meters between them. We're also checking the animation for speed to make sure that the drones are not set to exceed the horizontal and vertical speed limits that they have and that they're physically capable of. And so then after that, we are exporting the animation to path files. And then so these path files are what's actually uploaded onto the drones before they start the show. Here you can also see how an animation is made in, oh yeah, by the way, guys, I'll just kind of say this again. all the questions that you have, please put them in the Q&A section. So please do not put your questions in the chat, put them in the Q&A section so we can answer them easily. Yep, so then kind of returning back, here you can see also an animation that's created in Cinema 4D. But like I said, for the most part, we are using Blender for creating our animations. And now, of course, Drone Show Creator. For checking animations, we have a tool that's called the Path Viewer. So this comes together with Drone Show software. So basically right now, when you get DSS or Drone Show software, you only have one single installation file. And then inside of it, once you install it, there's multiple different applications that you can use. And in a moment also, I'll, of course, demonstrate that. So the Path Viewer basically allows you to demonstrate this animation you have made to some, let's say, event director or some key decision makers, so that you can use this also essentially as a tool to pitch your idea. And also you can, of course, use the Path Viewer to additionally check the animation. Let's say if you have received it from some external animation company, then you can use this tool to check it yourself to see whether the distances are okay, whether the speeds on the drones are okay. And so, yeah, this basically makes sure that the animation is safe to fly. And then the next step after that is that Drone Show software also actually comes with a fleet simulator. So what this allows you to do is, using the fleet simulator, you can run any animation kind of through the same process that you would use on a real show. And yeah, so then using that, you can simply run the animation easily and safely from, let's say, from your home or your office in the computer. And so then you can see how are those simulated vehicles behaving during the animation. And if that's okay, then of course, the next step is that you already move on to testing the animation on real drones. So also in 2020, we did organize a drone show animation contest. And actually, we were quite surprised that more than 150 participants signed up for this contest. And this was basically something that was completely new. So this was basically the first animation contest of this kind, specifically for drone shows. So yeah, this was kind of made also internationally. So we also had an international jury for the show. And so from these more than 150 participants, we had 6 winners who had, well, the best animations that were deemed by the jury. And so then they were awarded also free drone show software training. And yeah, that's normally worth 20,000 euros each. And then also they got further coaching from some local experts. Yeah, and they basically now can sort of say, yeah, lead the global drone show designer wave. And yeah, also the very best animation that they made, also this was flown and filmed. So if you go to YouTube, to Drone Show Software YouTube channel, then you will also be able to see that. And also from this, we, I think, got quite large media coverage. So also we're planning on making a second animation contest. I can share this with you. We're planning to open the applications in September 2021. So already, which is in already less than a week. But yeah, so here we're also going to expand this a bit. We have made the nominations multidisciplinary. Prizes also will be quite valuable. And yeah, so from this also you'll get some international recognition. And yes, this is essentially currently the only global drone show competition. So if you're interested in this, then yeah, make sure to follow us on social media so you do know when we're going to make this all public, so you can also try to participate in this. Okay, so I think now maybe let's talk a bit about drone show software and different components and safety features that are kind of inbuilt into it. So maybe some of you might have some questions. Okay, so what is provided when you get the drone show software? So firstly, you get the training. So training is provided either online or on site as you wish. Training is normally for 3 days and 4 hours each day. And there are also 2 levels, so up to 100 drones and for more than 100 drones. About this and about the pricing, I'll talk a bit more towards the end. And so the training can also, of course, be done, normally it's done in English. It can also be done in German by us. And if you're Spanish or French speaking, then also this training can be done by one of our partners. Then next, in the drone show software itself, these are the applications that you are getting when you install the drone show software application. So first, you'll get the DSS controller. So this is sort of the main central part of everything. This is through where you are setting everything on your drones, where you're seeing all the telemetry information and so on. Next, you have the DSS red button. So the red button application is basically used as sort of a backup, because through the red button, you'll be able to send firstly RTK GPS corrections to all the drones over the secondary radio channel, and also you're going to be able to send all the emergency commands to the drones. So we're going to talk about also drone hardware in just a moment. Also, you'll get the RTK tool. So this allows you to work with the RTK GPS base station. And of course, like I showed you already before, you'll get the DSS path viewer. And also, if you want to synchronize your drone shows to some other show elements, such as, let's say, lasers or fireworks, then for this, you can also use the DSS timecode adapter that also you can install together with everything else. Also, you can get the drone firmware. Since for all drone show software controlled drones, there's custom firmware that we've made that essentially allows for time synchronization between the drones. So this is exactly kind of what makes them appear so smooth, and what makes allows you to basically fly them in a synchronized manner. With the software, also you'll get some sample animations for your quick start. So you don't need to already have, you don't need to make your own animations, at least initially. So you can simply, get your drones and then use these sample animations to practice, to do your first shows. And then, of course, after that, you can make your own custom-made animations. Also, with this, you'll get firmware and configuration files for radio modules, as well as manuals. And also now, I'll talk about this in a moment, but also in the package, you can have drones included as well. So I was mentioning DSS controller as the kind of central part of everything. So this is already where you can see it. So this is the main part of the program. So here you can see currently 100 connected drones. So over here, you're going to see all of their telemetry information in like a table-like view. This is the detailed view, at least, of the DSS controller. Then if we can go further, then over here, you can already see the 2D map. So you have one section where you can see all the telemetry in the list. Then you have the next one, the 2D map, where you can kind of, firstly, you can see all the drones from above. You can then set the dance center point. And dance center point, basically, this kind of means that we're in Blender animation, where you have the X and Y axis crossing, where you have the 0 point. So you're basically just telling the drones, okay, so everything in the show is going to be relative to this one point. And so this is essentially using this, the software basically translates this point to geographical coordinates for all the drones, so that they know exactly where they're supposed to be flying in kind of with relative to the dance center point. So over here, you can see the drones. Then this blue area that's here, this is the flight area for this animation. It's usually different for each animation that you'll have. And then around that, we have the geo fences. So here, the first one, this is the polygonal fence that's set. And then around it, this is the hard fence. About them also, I'll talk in just a moment. And then here, of course, also you can see the 3D view. So then during the show, what you can do is you can have both actually the detailed view and the 3D view open. And so you can have the 3D view kind of in a separate window somewhere. So of course, usually I tell during trainings that the more monitors you have or the more screens, the better, because there's a lot of different tools that you can use during your shows to make the show safer and to basically give you, as the show operator, more information about what's happening in real time. So also next, we have the alerts view. And so in the alerts view, if in the case that some drone has some issue, let's say maybe you have some battery warning or something like that, then this will appear right away here in the alerts view. And currently it's divided into kind of 3 levels of severity. So monitor, warning, and critical alerts. Yeah, so then next about the firmware. So like I said, in the firmware, all drones have what we call time synchronization between them. So this is what makes the animations appear as good in the sky as they appear in the animation program. So these animation path files, that basically the firmware accepts these path files that include the position values, so X, Y, Z, as well as the RGB color values. Normally, drones are communicating to the drone show software using Wi-Fi. We're using 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi for this. And then also we're using a secondary radio channel for that. And so since these path files are kind of loaded on board the drones, this means that even if for some reason a drone disconnects from the Wi-Fi during the show, then the drone will still be able to keep flying the show, because it will also continue to receive these RTK GPS corrections over the secondary radio channel. Also, in these path files, you can have up to 2000 and more path points or kind of frames from the animation. And also now you're able to set separate position and color FPS values. So this basically just means that you can use different light gradient, different strobe effects during your shows. Then next, also the starting sequence can be separated, well, it is separated into two phases. So there's the takeoff phase when simple drones move up, usually to about 5-meter altitude. And then there's the move to position phase, where the drones are already moving to their first dance positions before they'll start the show. So sorry, just a moment, I'll have a sip of water. Okay, so then about some pre-flight preparation features that are inbuilt into DSS. So firstly, I can say we have quite actually streamlined the show preparation workflow. So you're going to be able to see this in a moment, but basically you're first setting the dance center exactly on the 2D map. Then based on where the drones are and based on where you have the dance center point, all the path files are automatically assigned to the drones, and then you can simply upload the path files onto your vehicles. Next, you're setting the geofences. So geofences can be either simply circular, polygonal. So these are two types of basically what we call the normal fence, meaning that if a drone breaches this fence, then the drone will be simply set to RTL mode to return back to the starting point. Around that, there's also going to be the hard fence. And so if a drone breaches the hard fence, then this will make the drone motors cut off and will make the drone fall down to prevent it from flying away and to, let's say, prevent it from flying into other, let's say, buildings or people and so on if this is nearby. So this basically usually is also required by aviation authorities, so that you can demonstrate that if a drone manages to fly away, that there's kind of a solution for this. You have the hard fence, and that also, if necessary, you can also disarm the drones remotely from the secondary radio channel or the primary channel if the drone is still connected there. Next, we also have inbuilt sensor calibration tool in DSS controllers. So this basically allows you to easily calibrate your drones from either the computer or actually from mobile devices as well. So let's say you have, for example, a fleet of, let's say, 100 drones, then you don't need to calibrate each drone individually from a single device. You can actually use almost any mobile device. So you can have, let's say, multiple people in your team, each of them with mobile device. So let's say Android or iOS smartphone, and simply from the web interface, they can select the drone, start the calibration, and then do the sensor, the compass, accelerometer, and such sensor calibration. Also, another pre-flight feature is that you can do parameter check, and you can basically make sure that all the parameters are the same on the drones by checking them and by uploading them to the vehicles. If you're going to get any pre-flight warnings, also then these will be shown. Additionally, recently on the very newest version, we implemented the pre-flight checklist. So kind of same how it goes for manned aviation. In drone shows also, you're able to go through this checklist to make sure that you have done everything necessary for the show before you launch it. Also, we have our fleet configuration tool, allowing you to basically configure the software for different fleets. And then, like I already mentioned, we have the path viewer, allowing you to preview your animations. And we have a fleet simulator, allowing you to fly your animations on a simulated drone fleet. Next, about some in-flight tools that we have. So first, we have the alerts view that I already showed to you. So you can this basically allows you to see any problematic vehicles as soon as this problem occurs. Also, through DSS, you're able to send emergency actions to the drones, such as disarm, land, return home, and hold. In the detail view, also, you will be able to see a basically overview of the telemetry coming from the drones. You can, of course, use the 3D view. You can use the geofences. You can control the lights during the show. So let's say maybe some drone has some issue. Let's say the battery is getting quite low on that drone and starting to land. Then you can simply kind of switch off the LEDs so that this drone is not visible by the viewers. And then also, of course, you have the drone overview, and you can have different vehicle profiles so that you can see information in these diagrams quite quickly about what's happening with each of these vehicles. Also, in DSS, there's basically 3 separate ways of how you can set the time of when will the show start. So the first one is that you can simply set this as a time interval. So this means, let's say, if you set it to, I think by default it's set to 90 seconds. So then if you set this on your drones, then you know that the show will start exactly in 90 seconds, provided that you do all the other actions required for that. A second option is that you can set this manually. So let's say if you know that, for example, your show has to start, let's say at 6 o'clock in the evening, then you can simply manually set this exact start time on the vehicles. And again, provided that you do all the other actions, so upload this time, arm the drones, and put them in dance mode, then the show will start exactly then. And then the third option is to use the timecode machine, so that if you, like I said, need to synchronize your drones with, let's say, some other show elements, such as lasers or fireworks, then you can also do this like that. About some other safety features of drone show software. So first, all the drones flown with drone show software, they need to have RTK GPS. So this basically allows them to achieve centimeter level accuracy. Also, of course, we're using dual geofence. So like I said, there's the normal fence that switches the drones into RTL mode. And then also there's the hard fence that will basically cut off the drone motors in case they fly outside of the fence. And the fences work in both horizontal as well as vertical directions. There are also redundant radio communication links, so that in case, let's say, like I said, a drone goes outside of the Wi-Fi range for some reason, then you can still control the drone using the secondary radio channel, which are also, speaking of these are also encrypted, so that this basically prevents anyone from kind of spoofing the secondary radio channel and sending some commands to the drones, since you have your own unique encryption key. Also, all drones are time synchronized. This is already a feature of the firmware that I mentioned. All animations before you fly them, these are checked for the distance to make sure that no drones can get too close during the show. Also, we have different pre-flight checks that I'll show to you in a moment when we get into software demo. And also we have the alerts view where you have everything split into these 3 levels of severity. So I think now maybe let's move on into the software demo part. So let me just then launch everything for this. Okay, all right. So I think you should now be able to see the screen. So this is basically the drone show software controller, as we call it. So here you can, of course, see all the drone telemetry information in a list. So just usually, before the show, we're checking this to make sure that everything is okay, that we're not getting any warnings over here. So using this, you can also select all of your vehicles. And then next, kind of basically, once you have all of your drones connected, you're going to be able to see them up top here and just basically kind of sort them. They'll automatically be sorted by the software according to these different filters that we have. And then also here, we can now go over to the 2D map of where exactly we have them. Now let's move over to where are our drones. And so then here, you can actually already see all of the vehicles. From here on the 2D map, this is where you can, let's say, for example, show or hide their names, show or hide their first point trajectory. So you can basically also kind of customize this to, basically, this is working optimally on your hardware. And also, so, you have enough, basically, so you're seeing on the screen exactly what you need to be seeing and what's best for your own workflow. So then once you have these vehicles over here, next step is that you can set the dance center point. So you can simply press here, and then let's say you can press dance center point somewhere over here. These blue points that you're seeing, so these are actually the first dance positions that we are now setting. So once you have set the dance center point, sometimes also you need to rotate it around. But in this case, actually, it kind of did look good the way how it already was at the very beginning. So then once you have that, next you can adjust the dance center altitude. So currently we have set the latitude and longitude of it, as well as the heading by rotating it. And then next we can also set dance center AMSL, or above median sea level altitude. So you can see down here, current ground elevation is 564 meters. And so then we are setting this dance center AMSL altitude approximately 10 meters above that in this case. So then once we have done that, we can expand this kind of additional bar that's here at the bottom. And so then we can start by uploading the locations, all 100 of our drones. And so now you can see that, well, we have finally success on this. Once this is done, then the next step is that you're assigning the paths to all the drones. So based on drone location and based on the dance center location, you can do the path assignment. And so then now if you go back here in the detail view, so then over here in the paths column, so this is where you can be able to see all of your paths. So which path is assigned to which of your drones. Then next is you'll do path upload on all the vehicles. So this will basically upload each individual path file to each of your drones so that during the show, even if a drone for some reason disconnects from the Wi-Fi, it will still be able to keep flying the show, to be able to keep flying the animation. So yeah, everything is kind of happening locally on board each of the drones. So let's just wait for the path upload to complete. This is usually the longest of these processes, since they're of course depending on the path file size, but this of course takes longer than, let's say, the location upload also on real drones. Next, once you have done that, then we're usually setting the geofence. In this case, I already have it set, but I think in this case, I'll just maybe kind of show you how we're doing this from scratch. So you can reset the fence. So this is kind of what it will appear initially like. This is the polygonal fence. So then we can simply move these points around to where we want our fence borders to be. Remember that this blue circle or blue oval, blue shape that's here, that will change depending on what animation you're flying. So this is where the drones will be flying. And then basically around this area, this is where you're setting your geofence. So now we can save this. And also then we can enable the hard fence. So if a drone breaches this border, it will be set to return to launch. But if it breaches the hard fence border, then the drone will be disarmed. So then once this is done, we can do fence upload on the vehicles. Yep. And so then once the fence also has been uploaded, we can then check if everything's okay. Over here, we can check the offsets, check the altitudes of the drones. You can, for example, see what will be the highest, what will be the lowest drone in the show. And then once everything's okay, I'll just check one more thing regarding these parameters. Yep, so I'll check the dance start time interval. So in this case, once I do start time, then the drones will start flying the show in about 45 seconds. So now also I'll upload these parameters to the vehicles. This, of course, is all explained during the training. So during these kind of 3 days, 3 sessions of 4 hours, you're basically gonna get this complete course of what do you exactly need to do in the software, what button does what, basically. So you'll have all information on that. And in most cases, also, it's me who's kind of doing the training for you. So if you do purchase Drone Show software, then most likely we're going to have a more, basically a longer session or a few longer sessions with me. So then once we have checked all of this, once we have uploaded the parameters, then next step is that we can actually launch the drones on the show. For this also, I think I'll just open up the 3D view over here in a window, kind of like so. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing the drones themselves, plus also these kind of columns. These are the drone trajectories to the first points, and these spheres up here, these are the first animation points. So where, let's say in the Blender animation where you see all the drones on the ground, so in reality, at that point, they are already up in the air. So kind of this is from where the Blender first frame will start. Oh, sorry, I think needs to switch up. Okay, yeah, sorry, I had a call incoming. That's why the video turned up briefly. So yeah, I think now we can probably start everything. So then the first step would be that you can arm all of your vehicles. Then next you can do set time and then upload time on all of them. And so once that's done, then you can press here on dance. And so then this will put all of the vehicles into dance mode. So now you're going to be able to see that all the drones will start taking off. They'll move to their first dance positions. And then, of course, from there, they will already move inside of the animation. Of course, like I said, ideally, you need to have this you can have this on separate screens. So normally during the show, we're recommending that you have at least 2 show operators, one show operator with the main computer, then another show operator with the secondary computer running the red button application. And so then ideally on the primary computer, you would then have either, well, in most cases, we recommend you simply have multiple screens connected so that, you can basically split these separate software parts. So you can have the detail view shown, you can have the 3D view shown, and then also, like I said, we have the what's called the alerts view that's over here. And so then also, of course, you can have the alerts view on a separate window so that in case any drone has an issue, you can spot this right away. And so then you can take action immediately. So yeah, this is basically how you use drone show software, how you launch the drones on the show. Of course, in reality, there's more aspects to it, but unfortunately, the webinar isn't long enough for me to cover all of them. But like I said, so all of this will be covered during the training session. So I think now, maybe after this, to save time, we can move back to the presentation. And then maybe in the Q&A section, if someone will have some specific questions about some part of the software, then we can kind of come back to this. And then I can also show this maybe in just a bit more detail. So I think actually I'll probably just close this so it's not running in the background. Yep, so now let's move again over here. Yes, then I think maybe let's talk a bit about the drones themselves. So I see there are also some questions. So what flight controller is being used? What drones can you use with drone show software? So I know most people have these questions, so let's just kind of go through this and let me try to answer them. So firstly, what is required on the drones? Firstly, we're using 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi during the shows, so all drones need to be equipped with the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi module. Also, all drones need to have a secondary channel radio, depending on the region where you are. In most of Europe and many other countries, this is going to be 433 megahertz radio. In the United States, this is going to be 915 megahertz radio. And then also we have some of our drones have a separate kind of different radio that's called LoRa, that's running on 2.4 gigahertz. And so then also this serves in that case as the secondary channel. All drones, of course, also have the have to have the LED, and also obviously need to have the autopilot as well as the RC receiver. To answer maybe the question about the flight controller, so the question from Brad. On most of our drones, or basically on all of them, you need to have some Pixhawk-based autopilot. Currently, the most popular ones would be Pixhawk Cube Orange and also CUAV Nano V5. At least these are on the custom-built drones. But our recommendation is that you use one of the drones that already come together with the software that are basically already pre-configured with it, tested with it, and so that you don't go through the pain of trying to assemble your own drones and then maybe realizing that some parts don't work exactly like as you intended. So yeah, basically as far as the option on acquiring drones, so you can get the drones from one of these manufacturers. These are the ones we're currently recommending. So first, there's Flyfire. These are from Italy. These are somewhat. These are kind of smaller than basically these other 2 drones, but I can say for a fact they're very reliable and that also they fly quite well. So if you imagine basically how a race drone flies, so Flyfire performance is actually quite similar to this. They have smart batteries and they are quite well built as well. So these are from Italy. Next, we have UVFi drones from South Korea. These are slightly larger drones in size, but yeah, I can also say this build quality is quite good on them. Also, I have one of these UVFi drones as well as Flyfire drone here with me. So I'll just show these to you in just a moment, a bit closer to the camera. And then third, we have Sparkle drones. These are made in also in the EU, in Belgium. So the Sparkle drones, the good thing about them is that also they are water resistant, so that you can even if you have some like slight rain, then you can still do the show. So there's no need to cancel your show if you're using Sparkle drones. I don't have a Sparkle drone with me, but I think now maybe let's go through some of these that I do have so that I can demonstrate them to you. So first is the Flyfire Kaikon drone. I'll see if I can maybe put this a bit closer here to the camera. So I hope you are picking this up. So yeah, the flight time for this is 25 minutes. The weight with the battery is 270 grams. The battery itself is a smart battery. So, you can easily kind of also slide it out like so. And you can easily turn the drone on. You can see on here, there's simply a button that you can press to turn on the Flyfire drone. We'll do this if the battery is charged here on this drone. So yeah, this is one of the options. They do come also actually in cases. So you can get basically a case of 10 drones. And then basically, depending on the amount of drones that you need, then you just get essentially the exact amount of cases. And so yeah, their size is 190 by 190 millimeters or 19 by 19 centimeters with the propellers folded. So you can see, of course, because of this ability to fold the propellers, especially if you're doing shows with many hundreds of drones, so then these are quite easily portable and they're very easy to also put on the field. And then next we have the UVFi drones. So also have, although this exact one that I have, it's a slightly older model. So I believe now they have changed the landing gear just a bit. So now it looks basically how you can see it here in the picture. So it's a bit more transparent. But overall, the design has remained the same. So here you can see this is the UVFi drone. You can also maybe see, if you're interested, you can kind of see the comparison of UVFi and Flyfire drones. But yes, UVFi drones also basically have the same flight time, so 25 minutes. They're also actually based and built on a racing drone frame, and their weight with the battery that they're using is only a bit above 1 kilogram, so 1,050 grams. And so currently, without the propellers, the size of this drone is 275 by 275 millimeters. So yeah, basically both of these are quite good options. Sparkle is also a very good option. And so then if you're going to be interested in getting drone show software, then also, of course, when you get in touch with our sales person, who's Eriks Pastars, we'll have his contacts a bit later, further in the presentation. And also, we can have some separate sessions with him and us, the engineers from the company, to also maybe talk you through what drones to choose and so on. And so over here, you can see the Sparkle drone. So like I said, this drone is waterproof. So yeah, even if you have some rain in your area, you can still fly with it. Flight time is the same. So it's no less than for the other drones, so 25 minutes. It is slightly heavier. So it's weighing in at 1.7 kilograms. That's with the battery. And the size of it is 400 by 400 millimeters without the propellers. Yep, so I think now maybe let's move a bit into some other hardware that's required for doing the shows. So like I already kind of mentioned just a bit, so basically you need to have 2 computers or 2 laptops for the shows. So on the main computer, you're using Drone Show software controller, and then on the secondary one, you're using Red Button as well as the RTK tool, although the RTK tool can be used on either of them. And then also you have the RTK GPS base station, usually running somewhere near the computers. And then you have your Wi-Fi network. So usually around the area where you have your drones, especially if you have more, let's say than 100 drones, then you'll have multiple access points around the area. Yeah, so about the computer a bit. So you need to have at least 2 computers with Windows 10, at least Intel i5. So basically here you can see the specs, at least 16 gigs of RAM, and dedicated GPU. Also, it's a good idea to have integrated USB ports and an Ethernet port. Drone Show software can be installed on maximum 2 devices simultaneously, and so each license key that you purchase, it has 2 activations, so that you can use this on 2 computers simultaneously. So yep, here you have the main computer running the following components, and then you have the secondary computer running everything else. I'll maybe try to go just a bit faster because I see we are already at 8 o'clock. So just so that everybody can, listen to everything that we have to say. About other hardware components, we have the RTK GPS base station, Wi-Fi network laid out all around the area, as well as radio or LoRa transceivers. You also usually have the radio control transmitter with you on the show side, but that's basically just to serve as a third backup option. But normally we just keep it turned off and we use it just in case. We have it with us just in case. And then of course you have all the drones with all of the modules that I already mentioned before. So then what are kind of the first steps to launching your own drone show business? So at the very start, I think a good place to start would be to organize a team. So you would need to have at least 1 or 2 operators. Need to have someone who's a drone specialist and can pilot a drone, because you just need to have someone with disability, also just in case it's needed, and in case you need to maybe do some repairs on the drones and so on, basically keep your fleet running. Then also it's a good idea to have a person like this. And then you also probably need to have a creative mind in the team, and someone who's kind of more business oriented, who can come up with these ideas on what shows can you do exactly, and basically find your customers or find your partners. So next step then after that would be to purchase a drone show software license. So the license comes with training included in the price. About this we'll talk after next part. Then you'll be able to complete either the online or the offline, which means on-site here in Riga, training. And then after that, you can acquire already your fleet, and then you can kind of proceed to doing already your first show. So now basically just a brief slide about our new Drone Show Global community that we are currently building. Let me just make this full screen for you. So yeah, basically up until now, we've had it so that our customers were kind of, separate from one another, more or less. But what we kind of realized is that still they kind of ended up, talking to one another. And even there was a case when some customers, they just combined their fleets and they did the show together. And so already for some time, we've had this idea to basically build like a platform for all of them to communicate, to also share their ideas, share their experiences, and also to basically get some new business going for them. So this is basically why also now for all of our current customers, we are building and we're going to also maintain obviously this what's called Drone Show community. So this will also work essentially as a website in which you can have your company profile. Quite soon also we hope to launch a forum where also you'll be able to communicate to other drone show organizers all across the world, essentially enabling you to get some international experience and expertise from some of the other guys. Maybe let's say someone's more experienced with fireworks, and let's say you want to try to launch your let's say fireworks from your drones. You can also of course discuss let's say all the legal aspects of it, depending on different from what country you are. And yeah, so essentially using this, one other aspect is that sometimes we still do get these requests. So, okay, so can you guys, come to this area and do the show for us? And so then essentially also by creating this, we are giving kind of you a platform to basically get more customers, because we are not ourselves organizing shows kind of as a service, right? So our main business is making the software, making sure the software is great, making sure it's perfect, and yeah, and then just working with our customers. And so that's in those cases when we get requests like that, then we can simply, pass them on to, let's say, one of our customers from the Drone Show community that is, let's say, near this area. So yeah, this is also one of the things that we just wanted to share during the webinar of what we are working on, and that's also launching quite soon. Now, I believe quite a lot of you probably have questions about, so what's the budget, how much does the software cost, and so on. So with the software, there's basically 2 packages that I'm going to talk about. So the very first one is what's kind of called Drone Show Ultimate package. This basically starts from already 100 drones. And in this price, keep in mind that the drones are already included. So with this, you get 100 drones, you get all the additional equipment, so RTK, Wi-Fi, so all the networking gear that you need, you get the training, and so on. So essentially, everything also in the further slide, I'll have more kind of detailed info on this. But here you can basically just kind of prepare, to basically observe how basically what's the cost based on what amount of drones do you have. So whether it's 100, 200, or 300, or even more kind of as a start. And so also you can see that how this return on investment will kind of come back to you. So let's say with 100 drones, once you do about 7 shows, then you'll have the break-even point at that time. And so with 200 or even more drones, then of course this break-even point is even closer, because usually with basically the higher number of the drones in the show, the more you can usually charge the customer for doing each of your shows, because obviously there's no more labor involved. So hopefully this is understandable. But yeah, so this is one of the first slides regarding the starting budget. And so then also, I think it's worth mentioning, so what's exactly in this package, specifically in the Drone Show Software Ultimate. So firstly, with this, you do, of course, get the Drone Show Software license with 100 drone support, or more, depending on what package you get. Or let's say if you want to start with even like 400 or 500 drones, that's also possible. But for that, of course, this has to be discussed with our main salesperson, whose contacts, by the way, are here as well as at the end of the presentation. So erics.pastors@egcs.com, or simply also you can go to our website, droneshowsoftware.com, and just fill out the form there, and this will also send us your request. But yeah, so here we include Drone Show Software license, then Drone Show Software, Drone Show Creator. So this basically software for creating your own animations. So this license for 12 months. And of course, this also includes the Kaiken drones. So these are the ones that I was mentioning. Later on, I saw someone of you wrote that in the camera, you couldn't really see the drones clearly. So then after the presentation, if you want, then I can probably turn off the screen sharing and show the drone in a bit more detail. So yeah, with this package, you also get Kaiken drones in this respective quantity that's shown here. Also, you'll get technical support for 12 months, and you'll get additional 10-hour support from our engineers for your first shows. And so then kind of for each additional 10 drones and, the license increment as well. So this would be additionally 15,000 euros. But keep in mind, that, each drone also has quite expensive components, especially the RTK, GPS. So that's why the cost is kind of like this. So then another alternative, if you want to start with a smaller amount of drones, then this is the Drone Show Software Standard. So basically there's like 2 packages. One is the Drone Show Software Ultimate, in which we already have these Flyfire Kaiken drones included. And then this next package is the Drone Show Software Standard package. So basically here you can start from as little as 10 drones, although in that case, the annual support is not included, but our kind of standard then starting license specifically for Drone Show Software Standard is for 20 drones. So then the cost for the software license, this would be 20,000 euros plus. And then, of course, you'd have to get the drones. With the drones, yeah, of course, you can get either, essentially, we are recommending for most of our customers to just get, the pre-built drones. Sometimes we do get requests, can I make my own drones? Answer to this is yes, you can use your own custom drones, but with that, keep in mind that this can take quite a lot longer, and it's not necessarily cheaper than getting ready-made drones that are already tested. So you don't need basically spend any time on drone development. But yeah, so this is regarding this. You can also see the increment based on the amount of drones that you're using. So let's say for 30 drone license, this would be 1,000 euros extra. So basically for each additional 10 drones, this would be an additional 1,000 euros for the license. So, all right, then thank you everybody for listening to the webinar. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got some new info. And yeah, so please do get in touch with us if you're interested in getting into the drone show business. And yeah, we're looking forward to speaking to you.